Hello, and welcome to Talking Legal Aid, a podcast that takes you inside Tennessee's largest nonprofit law firm. I'm Dean Hinton, a licensed attorney for legal aid of Middle Tennessee and the Cumberlands. Whether you're an attorney or a person with a legal problem looking for help, we are here for you. Jordan and I are going to finish our discussion about clinics in this episode of Talking Legal Aid. We're going to talk about who our typical VLP client is and the future of the Volunteer Lawyers Program. Jordan, in the last episode of Talking Legal Aid, we went through a list of cases that the Volunteer Lawyers Program typically handle. Was that pretty much what we're doing at these clinics or through the direct representation program?
Yeah, that's a really good list about what we do at the clinics. Our clinics are really quite open.
Meaning what?
Meaning that we allow clients to walk into a clinic, and if there is availability for someone to speak with them during that clinic, we will allow them to fill out an intake form right there, and we'll screen them, and we'll pair them with a lawyer.
There's no pre-sign up. It's a walk-in clinic.
Right. It's not required. Now, we do allow clients to pre-register for our clinics, and we encourage them to, so that we can screen it a little bit better and make sure that our attorneys are lined up properly. But we also allow people to walk in when the issue is affecting them most. We recognize that our clients have a lot of responsibilities and have busy lives like we all do. And so if a client is in a position where they're sitting somewhere on a Saturday morning and their debt has been weighing on them and it's heavy enough on their heart that they go onto our website or they go to the library and they see that we're there and they want to go talk to us, we want to be in a position to kind of meet that need if we're able to. So that's really important to us. That has allowed us to grow a program. But really, our clinics are fairly open. If it's a civil legal need, and if you are eligible for legal aid, if you have legal aid eligibility, then we want to see you at a clinic. Legal aid eligibility means things like you need to be a documented immigrant, you need to be a citizen or a legal permanent resident, or have documentation. It does mean we can't talk about class actions and affirmative litigation and criminal cases. And there are income eligibility thresholds. Other than those areas, we really are open to talking about and helping a client with whatever's on their mind within that civil legal ecosystem.
What if it's something like, and I've had this at clinic before, is someone came in and they wanted advice on how to start a business. And by the way, legal aid attorneys, we probably get a lot of things, but that might not be one of them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Those kinds of issues do happen at clinics. We are fortunate in that at our clinics, most of the lawyers who volunteer are lawyers who work at bigger law firms or have practices that are based on commercial litigation. So a lot of times they're comfortable talking to clients about those issues, right? Of how to start a business. That's not a legal aid issue. That is an issue that our private lawyers are comfortable talking to people about. In that case, we're happy to have a lawyer talk to them. We also tell clients when they come to the clinic that come to us with an issue like that, we will tell them, we'll go check and see if any of the lawyers are comfortable talking to you about that. I don't know that we have any lawyers who do that work, but if you are comfortable waiting, I'll come back and I'll let you know whether we're able to see you. Clients understand that. Clients understand a lot more than we give them credit for sometimes. When they come to our clinics, oftentimes they do have questions that they just need answered so that they can then go out there and complete whatever process they're on themselves.
Who are the VLP clients?
So our VLP clients are your neighbors. They're your church members. Our clients are folks who are working, who are taking care of family members, who are navigating housing issues while they're trying to work on a lower income. They're folks who are marginalized, often don't have access to credit. They are making do in a city or a region that is constantly increasing, whether in prices. So I think our clients are really a great cross-section of the typical kind of folks you have just driving around Middle Tennessee.
As you know, I work in the Gallatin Office of Legal Aid, and the second Tuesday of every month, except June and December, we have a legal clinic, and we get a lot of people, a lot of women who are looking for divorces.
Yes.
Either with or without kids. I'm not going to universalize that. I'm not going to say that's but that's what I'm seeing a lot of at our clinic.
Yeah, no, that's right. I do think most of our clients probably skew female. for sure. Most of our folks I would qualify as probably working poor, folks who are proud. Most of our clients are people who have tried to figure it out themselves first, kind of realized, I'm not getting anywhere. They're reaching out to us after it's been weighing on their mind for a while. Often when they come to our clinics, I sense that there's an unburdening going on for them too, where they are excited to actually tell someone what they're navigating so that they just don't have to keep carrying it themselves. But I mean, again, our clients are folks who are trying to take care of their families. Most of our clients are people who are heads of household, whether they be single parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, married, whatever. They're usually folks who are leaders in their families.
And Jordan, just to backtrack 1 second, you might think this is a really ridiculous question, and I would agree with you. Maybe it is, but legal clinics. Yeah. And I've had attorneys ask me this question, so I'm just going to say legal clinics are what? Find that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I think a legal clinic is a controlled environment where clients have the opportunity to get free consultations from attorneys who are volunteering their time. I say volunteering their time. Our clinics are often staffed by legal aid lawyers like you, Dean. So if you're there, you're obviously not volunteering your time. But I think of a clinic as a regulated environment. I mean, it's one where we are talking to the clients, we're having them fill out the intake forms, we're ensuring they're eligible. We are running the conflicts checks to make sure that legal aid is not giving advice to clients who
we have insurance.
Yeah, we have insurance.
We'll protect attorneys.
We'll protect attorneys. And this is a really important part. I'm glad you brought that up. When someone volunteers for legal aid at a clinic, what you're doing is you're stepping into the shoes of a legal aid lawyer. So you are really operating now almost like an independent contractor for legal aid. So you receive the benefit of a legal aid lawyer. You get the benefit of our liability insurance. It means that legal aid is responsible for maintaining the file. You're not responsible for maintaining the file. We are responsible for running conflicts. And as a pro bono lawyer, under the ethical rules of the state, you're allowed to talk to any client you want at a legal clinic for as long as you want, up until you learn that there's a conflict during the course of that consultation. And once you learn that there's a conflict, you do have to step, at that point, you do need to step back. As attorneys, the state has really given us some flexibility there to get in front of people and try to talk to them, and has really incentivized it through things like making sure you're covered under liability insurance, making sure that you get partial CLE credits for every hour you volunteer, things like that.
You touched on this already.
Yeah.
You talked about camaraderie. Yeah. That's one of the benefits that this contract attorney is going to get. A sense of pride, perhaps, coming out of the clinic or the representation. Yes. And by the way, it's almost like if you work at Bass Berry, you work at one of the big law firms, if you come to a clinic, if you do direct representation, you almost might feel a little bit more like a street attorney, like a John Grisham sort of thing.
Yeah. It's a little bit, you can
step out of your role.
Yeah,
or
that's
step
right.
into a different role.
Step into a different role. That's right. You can be a little bit of a Lincoln lawyer, if you think about it that way, where you are providing direct services to someone who is in critical need, cutting out any middleman there. And you are the one doing that work. I started, Dean, as a lawyer at a law firm called King & Spalding in Atlanta. And when I left and lateraled from there, I was in my 7th year as an associate. I know what that big law environment is like. And for me, there is no replacement for pro bono services. If you are working in a big office like that, you are not going to be speaking directly to the clients often, because those clients are not paying for a young lawyer to learn how to do their job. They're paying premium dollars for premium work. And when you come to a clinic, you're able to, again, in a controlled and in a safe environment, you're able to stretch your legs a little bit, develop some skills, and then also learn how to speak authentically as you. Learn what your voice is as a lawyer and how you can show up in spaces with credibility and integrity and honesty and still be you.
What if I'm a newer attorney, and I'm kind of intimidated? It's outside my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that's, first of all, that is the number one concern that most attorneys have. We did a survey last year of our volunteers, all of our volunteers. That was one of the big takeaways, was that the primary obstacle to a lawyer volunteering with us is actually not time. It's concern that they're not going to have the right answer. It's concern that they're going to give bad advice. one of the ways we really try to work around that is we try to offer trainings. We offer as many trainings as we can. Last year, I think we did 10 to 12 CLEs for the year. So it comes out to about once a month. But really the way that we try to work with that is we have resources at the clinic. We give lawyers an opportunity to do a little bit of research before they actually have to talk to a client. And then what we do is we let the client know exactly what the lawyer is going to be doing during that time. We set the lawyer up for success, or at least try to set the lawyer up for success before the client ever actually sits down. So we'll tell the client, hey, you're going to be talking to so-and-so lawyer today. They come from this law firm. This is their background. They're here to answer any questions. They're comfortable talking about these issues. Is this something where you still want to proceed? And the client says, yes. We tell the lawyer, and then the lawyer has an opportunity to do some research. We're there to support them. To young lawyers too, what I would say is if they're concerned or if they have concerns about confidence, I would tell them that they know a lot more than they realize, and that you can actually learn a lot more too by coming to the clinic. I think the clinic itself can be a way for you to brush up on areas of the law.
Because I do family law.
Yeah.
Jordan comes to the clinic.
Yep.
Jordan does do family law. So
correct.
Jordan can sit down with the client and synthesize things
Yes.
and come to Dean and say, hey, this, and this.
Yes.
And so I can sort of have a quick consult
That's
and
right.
give you information that you can take back to the client.
That's right. Yeah. And yes, that's exactly right. And that's a great example of how it works in practice. No volunteer is by themselves at our clinics. I don't think that it's a bad thing either if you're talking with a client and you're not entirely sure where to go and you have to kind of work through that with the client. I think that's good practice for what it is to be a lawyer. But again, we are there. It's a safe environment. We work hard to create an environment where the clients feel supported, where the lawyers feel supported. We tell our clients as well, hey, if you were here today and you weren't thrilled with the services you got, we have another clinic next week and we're going to have a lawyer there who's going to be able to talk to you. Come to that clinic. Or, hey, I know you didn't quite get the answer you wanted. Would you be okay if we reached out to some lawyers after this clinic and had one of them call you to give you a consult over the phone? We do those things all the time. Yeah. What I want lawyers to embrace is that part of the fun is the uncertainty of going there. That is part of the excitement. That is part of the process, because there is only so much uncertainty that we can alleviate or mitigate on our end anytime we do a live event. And so we recognize that by allowing clients to come to our clinic day of and walk in and perhaps receive a consultation there, we recognize that it introduces additional uncertainty to the clinic. But we have made the decision as an organization or as a program that, one, our clients still get a huge benefit from the clinics and they like our clinics and the responses are good. And two, that our volunteers enjoy the clinics and are actually constantly surprised by how helpful they're able to be. And that three, we're doing a broader service for legal aid, for the bar, and for really every organization that we attend, and just demonstrating that there are organizations out there who are willing to help, who are willing to care, who are willing to put themselves out there and say, hey, you came to me to talk about this issue. Let's talk about it. I'm here. I'm willing to take that burden from you for a second and to listen. And if I don't know, or if I don't think you have a good case, I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to do the kind thing. And I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm not really sure about this. Here's some ideas I have. Let me go back and ask the legal aid staff if they know of other resources. Or, hey, I know you really want to bring this lawsuit, but there's not a claim. There's no claim there. I want people to feel supported and to feel like when they come to a clinic, we are prepared. At the same time, though, Dean, I don't want to try to eliminate every avenue for possible friction, because I think that friction is how we grow. That friction is how we learn and build and how we demonstrate our credibility to our clients.
I got licensed in 2010, and immediately afterwards, I went to legal aid clinics.
Yeah.
I wasn't a legal aid employee. I was licensed to practice law, so I went to legal aid clinics, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
And your predecessor, Lucinda Smith.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, I used to run up to her all the time and say, Lucinda, what about this, that, and the other thing? And she would give me some advice on the fly, and I'd run back and tell them.
Yes.
And so I learned that way. And by the way, I can still remember things Lucinda told me to this day, which is, 15 years later.
These are lessons that stay with you, Dean. And I love hearing that. And Lucinda, by the way, is at Bassberry and Sims now and has really been is one of those tremendous partners that has allowed our program to grow. I think a lot of making the clinic a success for the clients and the volunteers comes down to expectation management and client management on the front end. And that's really what our job is as the Volunteer Lawyers Program, It's our job to make sure that the clients understand what the parameters of the clinic are. It's our job to make sure that when they sign that retainer to get advice at the clinic, that the retainer says that the representation extends to the clinic only. It doesn't follow the client after they leave. It's up to us to make sure that the client understands everything that's going on. And it's up to us to make sure that when the client goes back to sit with the lawyer is ready to meet the client where they are.
Attorneys who come to the clinic or attorneys who do direct representation of a client, do they get any kind of CLE credit?
They do. Every hour of volunteer service, of pro bono service, earns you 0.2 CLE credits. So the easy math is every 5 hours you volunteer, you earn a CLE credit. And that's up to 5 CLE credits you can earn. So you can count up to 25 hours of pro bono service toward your CLE for the year. And what that looks like for us is if you come to one clinic a month, you will hit 25 hours by the end of the year.
There's some sort of form that Legal Aid will give out?
What we do is, yes, we give you a form, you report your time to us, and then we report your time to the bar. All you have to do is let us know how much time you spent talking to a client. That is actually at the clinic itself. So it's part of the paperwork that we ask you to fill out at the clinic after you get done advising a client. We ask you to fill out the information you gave them, what their questions were, and then how long you spent talking to the client so that we can know how to follow up and we're able to document your time and the advice that was given.
What kind of challenges, if any, perhaps, is the volunteer lawyer program facing now?
One of our biggest challenges, and this is a challenge that I think is not going to change, and it's a challenge we've been facing. In our service area, we have 48 counties. And of those 48 counties, 36 of them have fewer than 2 law offices in that county. And I can't remember the exact stat. It may be fewer than 2 law offices per 10,000 people. 3/4 of our counties don't have many lawyers or even a bar association at all. For us, the real task is how can we leverage all the lawyers that are coming in to Middle Tennessee and settling into Nashville and Murfreesboro and Columbia and the metro areas? How can we leverage all of that interest now into pro bono services for people who are living in Cookeville or more rural areas of our state? That's the big issue, is how can we bridge that gap so that the folks in rural areas have the same level of access to justice as the people in the metro areas? Because what we know as well is that the attorneys in more rural areas are already often doing work that is compensated at below market rate, or they're doing work that makes them a generalist. So we have to be able to motivate lawyers who live in larger cities to go to some of these smaller unincorporated areas or smaller towns and provide services. One of the ways we're trying to bridge that gap now, and one of the tools we're working on, is a tool called Gavel that is document automation software for estate planning. This is software that will allow an attorney or a staff member to ask a client a series of questions relating to the provisions of their will, powers of attorney, and then advance directive, living will, so how they would want to be treated in the hospital. If we can get answers to a series of questions, the documents can then be generated from those answers through the software. That's a service that could be provided and that we've actually been able to provide with a lawyer sitting in Columbia and the client sitting out near Oak Ridge, because the lawyer can zoom in or they can call the client and they can just go through the questions, ask them, fill that information, and then we're able to review the documents and get them signed off for the client. We're also introducing a lot more virtual services at our clinics. Clients are able to talk to lawyers over Zoom, which we hope will allow us to bring more of those lawyers from the metro areas. The way that we've piloted it so far is we've done clinics throughout our service area where the lawyer is sitting at their desk, either at their law firm or in their home office. The client is sitting at the location of the clinic, whether that be in Grundy County or Sumner County or Davidson County. And the lawyer is then able to give the advice without having to leave their desk. That's another way we're trying to kind of bridge that gap. So in that way, we could host a clinic at our Oak Ridge office, for example, but we could have lawyers from a law firm in Nashville actually providing those services. It would just be a matter of providing the workstations to the client so that they can then speak to the lawyers. The biggest issue for us is how do we get out into the middle of the state and really make sure that access to justice is equitable for everybody.
So you kind of anticipated what might be my final question is, what can you share about the future of the volunteer lawyer program?
Right now, we are the growth is there. The numbers are there. We feel like we're making great inroads with law firms and organizations in Middle Tennessee. One area where we're really excited is we are on a transformation grant. We received a transformation grant through the Pro Bono Innovation Fund last year. And the Pro Bono Innovation Fund is an arm of the Legal Services Corporation that provides a large percentage of our funding. That grant is allowing us as VLP to look internally and really build up our infrastructure as a firm so that we can have a strong pro bono culture throughout our organization that we're then able to launch in all of these offices around the state. We are about 25% through that 2-year grant now. So we're not super far into it, but we're excited because we're doing all of the kind of the boring internal work that you need to do to have a great program, like setting new processes and procedures for client service, for our intakes. We're working on a field placement program with Belmont that we're excited about. We just have a lot of ways that we're growing, but I think where the VLP program is headed, in my opinion, is a place where we are leaders, not just in the state, but we are leaders in our region. To give you some context, our program, we reported more PAI cases, which are the pro bono cases. That's private attorney involvement. We reported more pro bono cases in 2024 than some of our neighboring states combined. What we see is that Tennessee is the volunteer state. We see interest in volunteering, that we're not far away from being in a position where our program is not just leading in our region, but we're leading nationally as well.
Maybe as a way of closing, once again, if someone wants to volunteer, it's las.org.
Yes.
Is that the main way? Is that the only way?
That is the main way. Yeah, that's frankly the best way.
What if I'm an attorney, I get curious and I just want to drop in?
That is perfectly fine. Go to our website, look at there's a tab called Free Legal Clinics. You can see a calendar for the month that has all of our clinics for that month. Drop in whenever you want. And then my email, actually, I'll give my email. It's jstringer@las.org. That's jstringer@las.org. Email me directly if you're interested in getting involved. A great thing to do if you're at a law firm is reach out, let us know that you're interested in volunteering with Legal Aid, and we'll come meet you where you are, and we'll talk to your firm, we'll talk to your office, we'll talk to you and your colleagues about what we do, how we do our work, and how you can get involved. Because quite frankly, I'm always looking for people to volunteer. But it's a win for me if people know about our organization and are enthusiastic about our organization. Even if maybe they don't have the bandwidth to volunteer now, they know what we're doing, they know how to give, they know how to volunteer. And whether that brings fruit now or brings fruit 6 months from now, I just love getting out there and sharing our mission, because I have yet to talk to an organization that does not believe in what we do.
I will offer one other way to get involved.
Yes.
Is if you know a legal aid attorney such as myself, then just you can ask me and I'll tell you when our clinics are, and please come. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to say this real quick. Chris George is a well-known attorney
Yes.
right here in the local Gallatin area.
Yes.
He happened to be in our office talking to Krista,
Oh, wow.
our paralegal, and we browbeat him into coming into a clinic. And the reason I say browbeat is because he came for a long time and then he's got family issues, so make it on our Tuesdays.
Yeah.
But he was in our office, and Krista, God bless her, she did encourage him to come to our next clinic, and I think he's going to come.
That's great. I think the encouragement goes a long way. That is great, Dean. You know, honestly, y'all, the best ambassadors for Legal Aid are the people who work at Legal Aid. It's folks like Dean. It's folks like Krista. We have a great team here, and we've got a great thing going on, and we just want folks to get involved.
Well, thanks for coming to the studio
Yeah, thanks,
today,
Dean.
Jordan, and I look forward to seeing you at clinic sometime.
Sounds good. It sounds good. I'll see you, Dean.
I'd like to thank Jordan Stringer for coming to the studio to talk about the Volunteer Lawyers Program. In our next episode of Talking Legal Aid, we will have Lucinda Smith, who now works with Bass, Berry & Sims, former Legal Aid Director of Volunteer Lawyer Program. That's next time on Talking Legal Aid. Thank you for listening to this episode of Talking Legal Aid. I'm your host, Dean Hinton. Legal Aid of Middle Tennessee's website is las.org, and the podcast website is legalaidinaction.buzzsprout.com. Don't give up hope.